What's up, everybody? My name's Nate, and today I'm going to be walking you through a very simple n8n workflow that will take a form submission, caption a video using an external service that we're going to have deployed on a server, do a successful check, and then it's going to send a success or error response. Right now, these are just data nodes. They're just going to capture the response. Later, we would turn these into a webhook, and it could wire up to a front end like this, where somebody could drop in a video, give it its settings, add captions to that video, and also have presets. With this, we can make this into a very simple micro-SaaS that people would give us money for to be able to take short videos like this, where someone is talking, and then turn it into this. So with that video, we have our captions that are coming out on top of the video and encoded onto the video itself, and then we can post that onto social media platforms. This entire workflow with the caption video request heavily utilizes the No Code Architect Toolkit put together by Stephen Pope. I will link to the video in the description that will help you actually deploy the server and use the services that we're going to use within this project. There is a lot of different services that this project provides, and it is quite extensive, and it is a very handy video service using FFMpeg, and highly recommend it. And we're going to be using it here within this video. Jumping into the workflow here, we're going to open up our on-form submission. We're actually going to run this step, and when we run this workflow, it should pop open a little pop-up here, which it did, and we have some text that's already in here, but we still have to fill out the form. So we've got our video URL, language, line color, word color, outline color, position. So we've got our bottom center, bottom left, bottom right, just where we want those captions to show up, and then the alignment, left, center, and right. So this is per the documentation on the No Code Architects page. So if we scroll down here and we actually look up captions, we will see the properties that it takes. So we are going to model these properties within our form. And that is where all of this comes from. So we are filling out the settings object, and that is modeled for us down here. So we are taking these settings and getting as many of them as possible put into this form that we are going to fill out. And the trigger is on another, there we go. And we can select these different settings, and then it will send that to our actual caption video request. So after we fill these out, which I will do that off camera here, then we will send that over to our video caption request, and then it will process the video there. So here we have our settings all filled out. I have a video that is a publicly accessible URL that is easy to get to for our service. We have our line color, word color, outline colors. So we got white and kind of a blue here, and we've got our outline is black. Bottom center for position, alignment center. We're just going to go with Arial right now for font family, and font size 72, so it's nice and big. Not going to do bold or italic, underline, strikeout, style karaoke, so it's going to kind of have the words light up as they're being spoken per the SRT file that is going to be generated by the transcription service. And we have outline width, and we have spacing, angle, and shadow offset here set to 3003. Just play with those numbers, see what you like. That's what it's all about. And all caps, nope. And we want to do 3 words per line. So when we hit submit, it should run this workflow, and we submitted that form, and I'm going to close that. And then now our caption service, caption video request, is going to be running on the No Code Architect server that we have deployed, and you can follow along with Steven's tutorial to get that server up and running. It's a wonderful tutorial where he goes through it step by step. I won't cover all that here. This is assuming that you have that server deployed and you're able to send this caption video request. One of the things you're kind of probably seeing with this caption request is that it's not running and then moving on right away. It's actually a synchronous request that's going to lock up the workflow before moving on to our successful check, which really you could probably just do that based off of the output of the HTTP code that it's giving out right here. But instead I'm doing a little bit just of a check here to check the HTTP code of 200 to 299. And if it's between 200 and 299, that is a successful call. So then it's going to go to our success node. And if it is not within those HTTP codes, it's going to be an error code. So the other way that Oh, and then it already got done. I want to show something down below here, but I will get to that in a second. So here, it was successful. We've got our send success. So we check this output here, and we've got our resulting video. So our first video was this with kind of a top and bottom. We got our desktop here, face cam here. So I'm talking in that video, and go back to the workflow, and here is the resulting output. We can copy that, open up another tab, plop that in there, and we have the output here of the captioning, and it's over my face, so that's probably not the best place to put it, but we just kind of wanted to see that working, right? So you probably want to put that in the center, and maybe change up the style quite a bit too, because the other style that I showed you was more of the impact font, and it displayed differently. So again, play with the settings and see what you like. Go back to our n8n workflow. So this is our successful. So instead of the kind of data output, we'd want to use a webhook here. So let's go down to the other way that this workflow would work. This totally works. And this is more of what you'd be used to with a typical HTTP call, where you do a form submission, caption the video, wait for the webhook success. And a lot of other people kind of like to do a timed check. I don't usually like to do that. I like to wait on the webhook, so then I know that's the server is communicating back to my workflow. Check the status of the job, which is part of the No Code Architect framework and server that you deploy, where you can check the status of a job. So you would check the status of the job, see if it is complete and is it successful. Then, much like what we have up above, send the success to the client. Or if it's an error, you may want to retry the job or send the error to the client. So I am not retrying jobs here because I want the error to actually go back to the client. So this interface here, like what the client would see, and they go, oh, there's an error. Okay, I want to retry that, or I don't want to retry that. And I want to give that power to the user. So that is the reason why I have it laid out like this, because we have plans to actually have a front end attached to this n8n workflow. Digging a bit more into this n8n automation, the on-form submission node is what you call a trigger node. So a trigger node is what a workflow needs in order to get started. And there's a few other trigger nodes, and I encourage you guys to follow along with my n8n basics series, where I'm going to go over these various nodes that you use regularly in n8n. And here I have form elements for this node, and these form elements is what makes up the form that we entered in all of our information into. So you can fill all these out manually, define them all manually. Honestly, guys, it's really easy to use your favorite AI agent to help you build out the JSON structure, because that's all these n8n nodes are, is just a JSON data structure. And if you're like, what's JSON? That is JSON right here on the right, and this is the output from this form. So JSON is a JavaScript data notation that you can define data with, and then use that between different services that you would use online as you're developing. So if you're getting into this kind of AI automation game, you're going to hear the word JSON a lot. And that's really all n8n is a bunch of nodes that can hook up to each other that are JSON defined and call separate API services. So right here we have our form that we have defined with all the various data. Here's the JSON output that our caption video request takes, which is an HTTP call that we are calling on our custom deployed server. You would add in your API key here. I took it out for the video. And here is the JSON structure that we are sending to the caption video service that is defined within the documentation of the No Code Architects documentation. So I encourage you to check that out. And guys, if any of this is unclear, go ahead and leave a comment on the video and we can figure this out together if there's something else I can help you guys with. Here's the JSON structure that we are outputting from the form that we are sending to the service, rather. And with this JSON structure, we are sending it to our service that, again, was defined here in our endpoint. So this JSON data gets sent up to that service and then outputs our video. And then here is the response, as we talked about with the workflow. And we're doing our success check, just checking the JSON code if it's between 200 and 300. Which is a successful HTTP status code. And then we're going to send that success to our now data node, but in a later episode, we will do a webhook. And then that webhook, our client, which would be something like this, our client would be listening for this webhook take in that data and display that to the user and be like, here is your video, or here is an error. And luckily we did not get an error, but that would be outputted here. Thanks everybody for following along. Let's build a micro-SaaS together with this very simple n8n workflow that may expand. We're going to wire it up to a front end, and we're going to get this deployed and have Stripe payments on it and users and everything that makes a SaaS successful and solves a very particular problem with clip captioning. I hope you'll follow along, subscribe, like, and let's have a lot of fun on this adventure.